Hey guys, long time no see. I know I have been off my channel for about, I want to say 3 weeks, which is completely unacceptable, but I've been extremely busy with my personal readings, my one-on-one sessions, and also been just trying to stabilize my mental health along with my physical health as well. So, it's just been a bit overwhelming, but I wanted to get on here and do a quick update video. I know that a lot of you have been requesting the reparenting video that I said I was going to film, so I am working on that currently. I'm going to try to get on a filming schedule. So hopefully I'll start that next week, fingers crossed. In 2019, I'm definitely aiming to be more consistent with my uploading and to just be more consistent in all areas of life, really. So this video, it's an update video, first of all, so I just updated you on what's going on, but also I guess I wanted to do kind of like a mind dump, and I've done a few of these on here before, but then I always end up deleting them for some reason. Sometimes it just gets a little too personal, but basically a mind dump is where you just kind of ramble and just say what's on your mind, and it's pretty good for just doing it on your own. Like you can mind dump into like a journal, like right before bed, just to clear your mind of the day's thoughts so that you can have a clear mind when you go to bed. So I've been doing that on camera. Like I said, I've done a couple of those. So right now what's on my mind is 2019 and thinking about what 2019 has in store, because just reflecting on 2018, it's December, so it's that time of year where you reflect back on everything that you've been through for the past 11 months. So 2018 has been insane. I bought in 2018, still very much attached to someone that I had a connection with in 2017. And this year, the ties were severed permanently. And I had a very hard time severing those ties. And I've talked about this in my trauma bond video. That I had a very hard time severing ties with this person. I had a trauma bond with this person, and so 2018 was a bit painful, the first half of that withdrawal process, or trying to get over what that person did and my fault in it and things like that. So 2018 was a painful year. It was very painful, but I feel like for a lot of people, because I get a lot of emails with people asking me for advice and things like that, so it looks like a lot of us were going through the same thing at the same time, which to me just lets me know that we have been kind of purging, like as a collective, and that a lot of us are transitioning into something major in our lives in 2019. Because the only time that you go through extreme pain like that is when you're having an extreme transformation for something extremely big to come into your life, because you have to make room. And I say that all the time, that when things are being removed from your life, when people are being removed from your life, if you've lost your job, or just when things are being taken from you, it's because I believe that God is trying to give you something that's better than what you have. And for me, I didn't want to believe that. I didn't want to believe that. I didn't want to accept that. I just was looking at it as kind of like I'm being punished. Like, why is this happening? Why, like, can't I just be with this person or have this person? Why can't things ever work out the way they're supposed to? So that's kind of how I brought the year in. But as the year closes out, it's like I've had so many epiphanies and so much clarity about why certain situations had to take place. So if you have been in situations in 2018 where things just did not go right, and people in situations were taken from you, just know that things are going to get great. They're not getting good, they're getting great in 2019, because I can feel it. So in 2019, I feel like I definitely want to be more consistent with my uploading. I want to be more consistent in all areas of my life, really taking care of myself the way that I should, and I'll get more into that in the reparenting video. I want to do more in-depth videos. I want to start doing more social psychology videos and like analyzing the things that are going on around us with our peers, because I feel like a lot of people would be interested in that. So yeah, it's like I feel like I just have a very blank, clean slate, and it's bizarre. And what a lot of people don't tell you is that, once you reach this stage of your healing journey, it can be a little bit empty. I feel like a lot of people who are healing from codependency or they're healing from narcissistic abuse, I feel like a lot of them think that once you reach this stage of detaching from those things or from those people, from that narcissist or from that person you just couldn't let go of, a lot of people think once you let go of those things or the things that held you back, your addictions, your conditioning, you think that it's all smiles and rainbows after that, because now there's nothing that has me in a chokehold now. But the truth of it is that it feels very empty, and now it feels like you have to find things in life to fill up that empty space with. So yeah, I'm at this really weird, like I said, transitional period of just feeling kind of empty, but then I know exactly what I want to fill myself up with, but it's just not, it's like things that are going to take time. So I kind of just have to work through this feeling and sit with this feeling. Oh, I guess something else I wanted to talk about is resistance, because I feel like that's something that really plagued me in 2018. I've been experiencing a lot of resistance when it comes to change. I am a fixed sign. I'm an Aquarius, so I already have a problem with change. My rising sign is Taurus, my sun sign is Aquarius, so they're both fixed signs, so I have a problem with going with the flow and changing. I like to hold on to things for dear life, and I never want to let them go. I always want to be very, very comfortable. So I experience a lot of resistance whenever I feel like I want to step out of my comfort zone and level up to do great things. I just feel like overcome with like this self-doubt and this fear, and then it really holds me back from accomplishing certain things that I want to accomplish. And I feel like a lot of people, they know about the fear of failure, like they understand what the fear of failure is. It's like you're afraid to fail, so you don't even try. But what a lot of people don't talk about is the fear to succeed, because that fear is what keeps me back more than the fear of failure. I'm actually not afraid of failing. I am more afraid of winning. I'm more afraid of being successful. And it's weird. I said this on Twitter one time that negative comments bother me less than positive comments. And I know that might sound strange, but it's true. It's like when I see a negative comment, I'm like, whatever, like who cares? When I see people like flooding me with positive comments, it makes me very anxious. And I'm immediately like, oh my God, like I have to step away from my channel, step away from social media. I'll see the compliments and I'll want to say thank you, but it's like I get overwhelmed with this feeling of panic. And I didn't really realize that that was a thing. Like I didn't realize that that was within me. That's something that I needed to heal or to work on. And so just as much as I've learned about myself through my relationships throughout these past few years, I've also learned a lot about myself through my social media presence and my presence on YouTube. So, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of like triggering. It's a lot of healing work. It's a lot of things that needed to come to the surface. And I'm very grateful that all those things are coming to the surface so that I can clear them out. So in 2019, I'm trying to work on pushing past that resistance, and I feel like the best method is to just really force yourself to just do it, because repetition is key. So eventually that anxiety will subside the more that you kind of sit with it and the more that you soothe yourself and let yourself know like it's okay, you're not in any type of danger. So what else did I want to talk about? Bitterness. I don't know why that came up, but that's something that's a theme that kept playing over and over in my head for the past couple of days. So I could be picking up on some of your energy of you feeling bitter. And again, it's that time of year where, yeah, you can start to feel a little bitter. Like I said, I had a trauma bond with someone for the past like year and a half, maybe 2 years. I've had a trauma bond with this person, and we've never spent holidays together because it was always some arguments or some bullshit going on where we never had a proper holiday together. And now the holidays are coming up again, and this person has, you know, they've moved on with their life, they have a new spouse, and so it's like that time of year where you just start to remember, like, you start to remember certain things that people have done to you, and you start to think about like the fact that other people are happy with their families and their spouse, and you know, you're kind of still just kind of stuck and trying not to be jaded about the things that were done. So that's something that has been kind of weighing on me, and the only thing I can do to combat that is to constantly remind myself that what people do is no reflection of me, and it's a reflection of them. So the way that they treat me is a reflection of how they feel about themselves. Because like I always say on Twitter, people treat you the way they feel about themselves. So I try to constantly remind myself that, so that I don't let this sense of bitterness kick in. Because once I become bitter or jaded towards one person that's done me wrong, it's like it opens up the floodgates for a bunch of old memories coming back from my past, and me becoming bitter about all of them. So I try to kind of stay above water when it comes to that, and to really just focus on understanding that it's not about them anymore. Like once they leave my life, yes, it's wrong what they did, but now it's my responsibility, and it's about me to heal. Like it's my responsibility to now heal. And those people are hurting within themselves as well, because only hurt people. And yeah, I just try I try to see things from a very high perspective. I guess that's an Aquarius thing. I just try to see things like the higher spiritual lesson. Well, I'm an Aquarius sun sign and a Pisces moon sign, so those two together make for a highly spiritual person who is able to see things from that higher standpoint, instead of seeing things from a third dimensional view and being offended by it, or allowing my ego to kind of drown me. Because when someone leaves you for someone else, or they do you wrong, or they move on, it's your ego that's really wounded. You know, it's like your false self that is wounded. And I refer to my ego as my false self, because I do feel like, well, I feel like everybody's ego is their false self. I feel like everybody's ego is their mask that they are wearing for the public, and that's what gets battered and bruised when somebody hurts you, you know? And it's like we have to inflate our ego in order to make us feel better about that rejection or about that pain, you know? So like I was saying, my phone's ringing. Like I've been saying, I've been thinking a lot about the ego, the false self, and the mask that a lot of people wear, or the mask that a lot of people put on. And that's been kind of helping me to kind of combat, not to help me combat feeling jaded or feeling bitter about the things that have been done to me. I just don't, it's like I'm aware that that's not who that person truly is. Like, you know, whoever is really hurting you or doing things to bring you down, or they just have no empathy for you, or they just treat you like you're disposable, it's like that's them, but that's not really them. That's their ego, that's their false self. Some of you could have possibly been dealing with a narcissist. So narcissists have an extreme ego inflation and this false self that is like diabolical, and that's not who they really are. It's like underneath it all, there's that scared child who has just been abused, or that person who's once disposed in their past. You know what I'm saying? It's like that broken part of themselves that they've stuffed into a corner, and now they put up this like armor, this facade to protect that little scared child that they have pushed into the corner, you know? So everybody, or most people, are walking around with this defense mechanism and this mask on, and the mask is what hurts you. The mask is what hurts people, and the mask is what's careless when it comes to other people's feelings, and discards people and moves on to someone else and just doesn't care. It's like that's their mask. That's not who they truly are. And I'm not saying be delusional and stay with that person like, I know this isn't really you, let me stay with you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's no need, or the way I see it is I try not to be bitter about it, because I know that that's, like I said, their ego, their mask. It's that coping mechanism, that defense mechanism, where someone left them out to dry, someone left them out in the cold, someone hurt them. So now it's kind of like they feel like to take their power back, they now have to do the hurting, or they have to protect themselves from getting hurt. And if that means hurting you, then they don't care. And it's just a very sad, unfortunate way to live. And that's just what kind of helps me to combat, you know, feeling bitter towards these people. What else was I going to say? I'm trying to balance feeling jaded, or I'm trying to balance healing with making sure that I don't feel jaded, and I'm also trying to make sure I don't create a false self. So basically what your false self is, like I said, it's that mask or that demeanor that you put up in order to protect like your wounded, like your broken inner child. You formulate this false self, and that's why narcissists are narcissistic, because when they were younger, they went through some type of traumatic events where they basically had to create a false self to pretty much protect their true self. Their true self is just a scared child that's being severely abused. So they will kind of cut ties with that version of themselves, but that you can't really cut ties with yourself. So that person, that wounded inner child, is always there, but they kind of cut ties and kind of push that wounded inner child into the corner, and then this false self ends up taking over the body or taking over the consciousness, and that's the monster that you see within narcissists. And I feel like all of us have the ability to create that sense of false self if we're not careful. We can't, I'm not saying we all can develop narcissistic personality disorder that easily, because that's something that I feel is developed in childhood. But I do feel like when we are healing, sometimes we have the urge to really cut ties with our old self, kind of like kill our old self and bury our old self in order to become this better version of ourselves. And you have to be very careful of that, I feel, because it's easy to create a sense of false self when you really haven't healed. It's easy to create this larger than life personality or persona, especially with us interacting online and on social media. It's very easy to put up a front or put up a facade, or, like I said, create this false self in order for you to not have to deal with your pain. So I'm very careful about not just pushing, you know, the wounded version of myself into a corner and becoming this fake version of myself. I want to actually heal the wounded part of myself and integrate it so that I can become whole as a person. So I won't be kind of like split, like over here is my false self with my mask, but then my inner child is still like crying and bloody in the corner. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to really find a balance and make sure that I'm not staying stuck in the mindset of victim and staying stuck in that role of being hurt, but then that I'm also not creating that false self. I'm trying to grow and heal in the healthiest way possible, and sometimes that takes longer than if I were to just create a false persona and to put up this false mask. But I just know that that's not healthy. You know, I'd rather heal slowly but surely. So yeah, I've been doing research on, you know, narcissistic personality disorder, so I want to do more videos on that. But specifically, like I was saying, I find the false self to be extremely fascinating within narcissists. It's just amazing what the brain can cook up when you are being abused as a child. It's amazing the defense mechanism that we come up with. And like I said, with the narcissist creating that false self, that's a defense mechanism. And sometimes if you pay attention to narcissists, you can almost see them switch between their false self and their inner child. It's like that's their only true settings. They have like this monster-like persona, this monster-like ego that just shows no mercy for anyone. But then sometimes you can get a glimpse of that broken, wounded inner child sometimes, and I just find it very fascinating. I know that when I was engaged to a narcissist, sometimes I would stare at him from across the room when he wasn't looking while he was eating. And because we were in college, my bed was high up. So it's like one of those beds that's like elevated. So he'd be on the bed and his legs would be swinging, and he would be eating. In the way that he would eat this sandwich, he was eating a sandwich one time specifically. In the way that he would eat the sandwich, he would like rip off pieces of it, and then he would like pack it into a little square, and then he would eat it. And he just looked so pleased with himself. Like he looked like a little kid. Like I just saw the child in him. And it's just so crazy to me to be studying narcissistic personality disorder now, and for me to come across, you know, that information about, you know, the wounded inner child versus the false self. And it just clicks in my head, like, I get it. I see it. I see that inner child. I used to see it come out of him all the time. And that's the part that I fell in love with. And that's all of the people who I've dealt with who have been narcissistic. I can say that has been something that is consistent. I've noticed that inner child within them sometimes shines through, and it's like that's the version of them I wanted to tend to, or that I wanted to love and adore and care for. And I feel like in a way, you know, getting involved with those type of people is just like a subconscious way of healing your own inner child. It's like you see your broken inner child within them, and you want to give them all this love and affection, kind of like as a weird way of giving yourself that love and affection, if that makes any sense. You know how people tend to have kids and then they try to heal their trauma through their kids, meaning they think, okay, I'm going to have a kid and then I'm going to treat this kid the way that my parents never treated me, and then I will be healed. And sometimes that does work. Sometimes seeing a reflection of yourself in someone else and tending to whatever wound that is within that person can help you to heal. I'm not saying that that should be your only form of healing, because then that's putting too much pressure on an external source, but it can be a very healing experience. So yeah, for those of you who have dealt with narcissists, comment down below if you've ever seen that in them, if you've ever seen their inner child kind of like peek through for a minute, because it's very fascinating to think about. And I've also been very obsessed with dissociative identity disorder videos. I'll leave a link to my favorite channel down below. It used to be called split personality or multiple personality disorder. Now it's called dissociative identity disorder. And basically it is a defense mechanism that the brain has kind of cooked up when a child is severely abused. I believe it's before the age of 5 or before the age of 4. Usually it involves being severely sexually abused, where the child will create alter egos in order to help protect them from that trauma. It's very extremely fascinating to see them switch on camera, like to switch between alter egos on camera. It is mind-blowing. It's very interesting, very fascinating. I feel like a lot of people don't know about dissociative identity disorder, and I feel like a lot of people, more people should know, because it doesn't just apply to people with that disorder. I've learned so much about myself even from watching her channel, and I don't have DID, you know. Like I said, I was drawing parallels between DID and narcissistic abuse. And I watch a man on YouTube named Sam Vaknin, who is an expert on narcissism. I'm not sure if he is a narcissist himself. He might be a recovering one, but he was basically, he himself even drew those parallels between DID and narcissistic personality disorder. So I was linking them in my head, and then I came across his channel, and then he drew the parallels as well, and it just all clicked. So if you have been dealing with a narcissist, or you're healing from narcissistic abuse, I feel like studying dissociative identity disorder will help you to kind of understand yourself as well, and to understand the narcissist. It's kind of hard to explain. That's why this is a mind dump. I'm just like rambling, but yeah, because I feel like I said, I feel like all of us have that potential to kind of create an alter ego, and to kind of like split our consciousness in order for us to protect ourselves. And like I said, it's something that you need to be very careful of, because the last thing you want is to think that you have healed, but really you have created this false sense of self that you're using to shun the old version of yourself, as opposed to protect the old version of yourself. So it all kind of ties into DID and MPD, and I will do a video further explaining that, because I feel like I just butchered that. Like I didn't explain the parallel correctly. I see the connection in my mind, but it's hard for me to explain it. But I will do a more in-depth video on that. So make sure you check out the links that I leave in the description box with my favorite DID channel, and I'll also link Sam Vaknin's channel. And also I wanted to just thank you guys for all of your support. I truly do appreciate you. There's no better feeling than being able to know that when I get on YouTube, I'm going to be talking with people who know me and who understand me and who accept me, and I can just be myself. And on top of that, it's like people who've been through the things you've been through. There's nothing better. They're feeling understood and feeling like you have found your tribe. So I appreciate you guys so much. Just as much as you say that I help you, you also help me. So that is it. I will be filming the reparenting video, so that should be up soon. So look out for that within the next week. And I am open for bookings. If you want me to do a tarot reading for you, I can do that. But I also do just one-on-one sessions where I just give intuitive guidance. So I will link that down below if you are interested in booking any services with me. So that is it. Again, thank you guys so much for your support, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.